Hello there, welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Today we remember one of our national heroes, pay tribute to an honoree, connect with our heritage and talk money matters. Also, here's a reminder to sanitize, mask up, social distance and get vaccinated. There's more to come. Stay tuned. Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, October 14, 2021. The National Identification and Registration Act 2021, also known as the NIDS Bill, was approved in Parliament on Wednesday. This after months of consultations and revision. It includes several amendments to the previous bill that was passed in 2020. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the bill, which represents the contribution of many stakeholders and rigorous deliberations of the Joint Select Committee, is a great achievement. Mr. Holness says the political tug-of-war and conspiracy theory that accompany the introduction of new policy or legislation to benefit the society is a deterrent to national development.
The lack of a transparent and trusted digital identification system hinders the simplification of bureaucracy. It creates an excessively complicated administrative procedure that prevents access to the most vulnerable amongst us. Madam Speaker, national identification is the foundation to advance changes that will have a lifelong positive impact on our country.
Meanwhile, Justice Minister and Chairman of the NIDS Committee, Delroy Chuck, says the need for identification is significant and the NIDS ID will solve this issue.
This bill, as the Prime Minister said, is about identification. And what we hope, Madam Speaker, can emerge from this bill is an identification card, a means of identification that will be the gold standard of identification.
Minister Chuck says over 135 face-to-face meetings were held by the NIDS Secretariat with various stakeholder groups. The Joint Select Committee had 32 meetings, 6 of which were virtual town halls, and 100 contributions in letters were received.
This bill has gone through a thorough, open, transparent participation, and so all Jamaica can feel that this bill belongs to them.
The bill has been strengthened to protect the rights and privacy of an enrolled individual, as well as the organizational and governance structure of the authority to ensure penalties reflect the gravity of the offense created under the legislation. It will also implement double layers of oversight from the Information Commissioner's Office and the National Identification and Registration Inspectorate. The NIDS bill will now go before the Senate for approval. Approximately 60% of tourism workers have received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Portfolio Minister Edmund Bartlett provided these statistics yesterday as he gave an update on the state of the industry in Parliament. He said a tourism vaccination task force was established to facilitate the vaccination of tourism workers island-wide.
And I want to make the point again, as I've made before, we are requiring every worker and every player, stakeholder in the tourism to be fully vaccinated.
The minister said the aim is for all 170,000 tourism workers to be vaccinated and protected from the negative effects of COVID-19 and the other variants. Mr. Bartlett said the health and safety of both frontline tourism workers, citizens and visitors remain a top priority. He said the country's robust vaccination program, along with tourism safety procedures such as the Tourism COVID-19 Resilient Corridors, have earned Jamaica the admiration of international partners. The House of Representatives on Tuesday approved the 23 amendments by the Senate on the sexual harassment bill without further changes. Gender Minister Olivia Grange said the changes, which were significant, have been incorporated in the bill. Of note, Minister Grange said, is the adjustment to Clause 4. It imposes a duty on every employer and heads of institutions to issue a policy statement detailing information regarding the protection of workers and students from sexual harassment.
There was concern with this requirement being complied with by micro-employers and those individuals engaged in work in domestic spaces. This obligation was felt to be too onerous for these employers, but not for bigger businesses. To cure the concern, it was agreed that the clause be amended by giving the minister power to acknowledge those employment circumstances where use of the policy framework document would not be appropriate. The exercise of this power is subject to affirmative resolution, thus ensuring that there is oversight of the exemption from both houses.
Clause 8 makes it a requirement for businesses and institutions to have a confidential register that will document alleged claims of sexual harassment, findings in such cases, and cases of exoneration. Clause 12 removes investigation powers from the tribunal and has vested such responsibility to the authorized field officers who are appointed to the Bureau of Gender Affairs. The bill also makes provision for false claims of sexual harassment.
Clause 41.1 has been deleted and replaced with this formulation. A person who knowingly makes a false sexual harassment claim or a false complaint commits an offense. Both terms, complaint and sexual harassment claim, are defined, and the amendments now makes it clear that a false complaint or false sexual harassment claim are both wrong and actionable in the parish court to a fine not exceeding $1 million.
All 5 zones of special operations, ZOSO, have been extended for a further 60 days. The areas are Mount Salem and Norwood in St. James, and Denham, August, and Greenwich Town in Kingston. While moving the motion in Parliament on Wednesday, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang said the various strategies will continue within the communities.
The zones have respectively transitioned into the following phases. Mount Salem, Denham Town will continue the build phase. August Town and Greenwich Town will continue the hold phase, while now will continue the clear phase of the strategy.
Maureen Dwyer is now Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. Mrs. Dwyer, who is Chief Inspector in the National Education Inspectorate, assumes responsibilities starting today. This follows Acting Permanent Secretary Dr. Grace McLean's proceeding on leave to facilitate an investigation which has been launched into an Auditor General's report concerning fiduciary and related issues at the ministry. In a release, the Office of the Prime Minister OPM says Dr. McLean's leave will ensure there is no hindrance, real or perceived, to the course of the investigations. The OPM adds that it anticipates a thorough and expeditious probe. And finally, this year's ceremony of investiture and presentation of national honors and awards will again be held virtually in keeping with government's social distance protocol to limit the potential for the spread of COVID-19. The prepackaged production will be aired at 9 a.m. on Monday, October 18 on TVJ, CVM-TV, Love, and PBCJ. It will also be streamed live on the JIS, OPM, and JCDC's websites. Over 200 Jamaicans will be honored with various awards recognizing their contribution to national development in a number of areas. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
We are in a race against time, to reverse the effects of climate change by one simple action, which has positive and enduring effects. That's right, plant a tree, leave a lasting legacy. Join the My Tree Legacy promotion by planting a tree at your alma mater and share your work with us. Submit videos and pictures of you, your family, your friends, and colleagues planting trees. Every tree counts. Plant a tree today and keep climate change away.
Jamaica is instituting digital currency as part of the cashless system. It's being facilitated through the Bank of Jamaica, which has already minted $230 million for distribution. Let's find out more about this process.
Digital currency. What is it? How do you spend it? Is it the future of money? The Bank of Jamaica BOJ minted Jamaica's first batch of central bank digital currency CBDC. A total of $230 million Jamaican dollars in CBDC will be issued to deposit-taking institutions and authorized payment service providers during the CBDC pilot exercise, which ends in December. What does this mean? Hello, I'm Daniel Pastley, and welcome to Finance Matters. In today's episode, I'll be speaking to Mrs. Natalie Haynes, Deputy Governor of Bank of Jamaica, who will help us to get a better understanding of digital currency and how it fits into Jamaica's overarching economic plans for the future. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow the Ministry of Finance on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to see all the episodes and highlights. Welcome, Mrs. Haynes, for coming on the program.
Thank you, Daniel. Happy to be here, and good day to your viewers.
Now, let's get right into it. What does digital currency mean?
Okay, so central bank digital currency is basically currency issued by the central bank in electronic or what we call digital form. So it works just like your physical banknotes and coins, but it exists in digital form. So 230 million was minted.
And when you mean minted, you mean what exactly?
Produced.
Oh, okay.
It's produced. Just as how you say you print banknotes or you mint coins, you mint digital currency. So 230 million Jamaican dollars was minted in August, and we have not yet issued that to deposit-taking institutions or authorized payment service providers. That will be done later on this month.
All right, so how will it be allocated to various sectors? Will it be done on a face-to-face basis?
Right, so I can't tell you the sectors. I can tell you the institutions.
No problem.
It will go for the pilot. The institution that's in the pilot now is National Commercial Bank. And there are more commercial banks that will join before December. So we issue as they order. They determine what they want and they place their order, and we will issue that to them for distribution now to their customers.
So that's basically how the average citizen will be able to access the digital currency then?
Exactly. So anyone can access digital currency. You don't even need to have a bank account now. What you do, you go to a commercial bank or an authorized payment service provider and indicate your interest. And of course, the information that you would need to provide is very simplified under the Know Your Customer requirements, which would include your name, address, date of birth, TRN, and a valid government-issued identification.
For some persons, they may be hearing digital currency and they might, mix it up with cryptocurrency or blockchain technology. How is it different from all those?
All right. So cryptocurrency is different from central bank digital currency because cryptocurrency is not backed by a central authority.
Okay.
CBDC is backed by the central bank, in this case, Bank of Jamaica. Blockchain is a type of technology that persons can use for either cryptocurrency or CBDC. But Bank of Jamaica will not be using that technology.
And how will digital currency help Jamaica to become more prosperous, so to speak?
Okay, so on many factors. So we all are all aware of the government's thrust for digital transformation of the entire economy. So this is just our part that the central bank is playing there. But the key focus that we're looking at is financial inclusion.
Ooh.
Yes.
Financial inclusion, that sounds like a very high-level type of term.
Not really. It's just there are many persons in Jamaica that are unbanked.
Right.
Or what we call underbanked. Underbanked means you have banking services, but limited, and you are hardly using it for whatever reason. So we are trying to target those persons in the first instance to come into the formal financial system.
Okay.
Right? And by enhancing financial inclusion, more persons have access to financial services.
And how can we find out some more information about digital currency?
Okay, so I'm actually working with my communications team on a dedicated page on our website, but there's still information on there, and you can just go on the website, put in CBDC in the search, and the information that we have currently on the website will come up.
Thank you, Mrs. Haynes, for sharing some pertinent information about central bank digital currency.
Thank you for having me, Daniel. It was my pleasure.
And thank you for joining us on Finance Matters. Remember, you can follow us on social media at MOF Jamaica. Tune in next week as we continue to demystify the economic and fiscal policies and initiatives implemented by the government to empower Jamaicans as we chart a path to Jamaica's economic prosperity.
It's absolutely critical that we receive the vaccines. You will see hospitalizations and indeed deaths likely come down. And so there is a lot of value to be gained by getting as many vulnerables on board as possible. So tell your mothers, tell your aunts, listen out for yourselves if you're over 60, and take the vax, because the vax is what will help you to guard against the COVID virus, and indeed help your relatives, your friends, those who you come in contact with, for the same benefit.
It's now time to feature another recipient of the 2021 National Honors and Awards, Kirk J. Buchanan, a man who wears many hats in broadcast media and television production.
These are but some of the works of a man whose contribution has transformed the Jamaican media landscape. Kirk J. Buchanan may not be a household name in front of the camera, but to persons behind the scenes, he's an incomparable professional.
Kirk is a national resource. He makes himself available to serve in his technical capacity across a wide range of national life.
He's Mr. Reliable. If he says he's going to do it, he's going to be there to do it. Even if it is 2:30 in the morning.
He tells you exactly what is on his mind, irrespective of your position. Of course, he will do it respectfully.
Kirk Gervais Buchanan wears many hats, all of which are behind the camera. He has been a video editor, producer, production manager, director and technical coordinator, but now serves as a consultant in broadcast media and video production. His contributions are many and have led to his recognition several times over, the latest being the recipient of the Order of Distinction in the rank of officer in this year's 2021 National Honors and Awards, NHA. Mr. Buchanan's introduction to media began in the summer of 1978 when he landed a job in the personnel department at what is now the Jamaica Information Service, JIS. Soon, interest in the personnel department waned as the film unit piqued his interest.
When I went to television and saw what it was all about, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. Didn't go back to high school, got a job and started working then.
Kirk started out as an assistant film editor and quickly worked his way up to the junior film editor post. And when video editing technology was introduced in the 1980s, Kirk eagerly made the transition.
Kirk's body of work really blossomed when we started to do a lot of outside broadcasts, state funerals, grand galas, state visit by foreign visitors, documentaries. He crossed administration, and his professionalism endeared him to both administrations. Kirk being a very, very hard worker, dedicated his time to being the best at what he is now.
After being the senior video editor, I became the technical manager. I later moved on to become the production manager. And then, before I left, I was acting as a manager for the television unit. And it was at that point that I made the transition from JIS to CVM.
We were actually building out a television station at that time, and Kirk was in charge of production, knew everything about production. So that relationship was punctuated by Kirk always being reliable, being dependable. He knew what he was doing, so we had the confidence in him when he said that something was to be done. And he took CVM at that time through a lot of their early stages in what had to be produced, and the production standards being set at that time were defined by him.
At CPTC, we found that we needed somebody very much like Kirk. And so we recruited him to become the director of production, and subsequently he became the deputy CEO and director of marketing. So he played multiple roles in CPTC, but very much a technical director's role.
He was a firm manager. He did not brook foolishness. He wanted professional standards to be maintained, but at the same time he was fair and very mindful of the welfare of those persons working under him. When we had major events, he had to be satisfied that the welfare arrangements were proper.
Television production is teamwork. And no matter what position you hold, or no matter where you are in the industry, the team around you is always an influence to who you become and how successful you are. Because without the team, and without the success of the team, and without the dedicated input of the team, you get nowhere in television.
After 4 decades of dedicated service to the media profession, Kirk retired in 2018. But that hasn't ended his love affair with the media. Mr. Buchanan currently does consultancy work for several productions and still finds time to give back to his community.
Let me just say something. I love it. I love television. I love production. It has been a hard take. It has been a pleasure. It has been laughter. It has been sadness. You cry. But let me tell you something. This thing called television production, you have to love it. The hours are dreadful. Not to mention the time you spend away from your family, the people you post. It's just. But you know, at the end of the day, because you love what you're doing, you keep doing it.
He actually met his wife, the lovely Althea Buchanan, on the job.
He shared in the convivialities with his colleagues, but he never forgot his family.
Kirk is part of the audiovisual team at the Webster Memorial United Church. He's our senior cameraman. Kirk brings expertise of a high quality, and everything he does is well done.
Big up Kirk. Many, many, many congratulations. It couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
You're a good man, you have done good work, and therefore your recognition is a good thing for our industry. Well done, congratulations.
Your colleagues, whether at JIS, at CVM, And surely at CPTC would be very, very proud of what you have achieved.
You are so deserving of national awards. And we honor God, we praise Him, and we thank Him for you. We praise Him for the impact that you have had on this nation. Congratulations.
Lignum vitae, translated from Latin, means wood of life, most likely because of its medicinal qualities. Let's learn more about this national symbol.
Christopher Columbus saw it here when he came. It means wood of life in Latin. It's world-renowned for its medicinal, ornamental, and industrial properties. But round these parts, it's known as the Lignum vitae, the island's national flower.
It is a tree that is native to Jamaica, it's native to Cuba, basically the Greater Antilles and parts of Central America. Its native habitat is pretty much dry, alluvial type plains. It also grows in well-drained limestone areas.
This short, compact tree takes over 100 years to grow up to 30 feet tall. Due to its luminous purple-blue flower, alluring orange-yellow fruit, evergreen foliage, and attractive rounded shape, the tree dots across the Jamaican landscape, shading many houses, streets, and complexes. Since time immemorial, the Lignum vitae has been touted as the most useful tree in the world.
It produces a gum, and that gum used to be regarded as highly favored for medicinal uses.
Its body, gum, bark, fruit, leaves, and blossom are used to produce medicine. In colonial times, resin from the tree was used as a mild laxative and as a diuretic. The leaves were used as a remedy for respiratory, inflammatory, congestion, and neurological disorders. Its bark eases pain from sprains, strain, rheumatism, and arthritis. And I'm sure many Jamaican homes still ward off flies with its branches.
Its most noted feature is the wood. Because it's slow growing, it's very, very dense. And that density and the weight of it gives it a number of industrial uses.
That's because the Lignum vitae is infused with an oil which makes it waterproof. It's ranked as the world's densest, hardest, and most durable traded wood. In addition to being used for making exquisite furniture, the Lignum vitae was used to insulate trolley cars for the rail industry. The wood also made the propeller shaft bearings of most ships back in the day. Lignum vitae wood is also ideal for these creations. The Lignum vitae is truly the holy grail of plants.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow when we'll bring you another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.